Let's take a look at another feature found inside the Microsoft Word References tab. We're going to take a look at Citations and the Bibliography feature. This is a feature that I wish I was aware of back when I was in school. I always had to cite my sources when I would create essays, right? So your instructor, your teacher would ask you, hey, I want you to write an essay about X topic. I want you to go out and research this. But when you write your essay, I want you to drop in the sources. I want you to cite the sources. Well, I had to do this by hand. I had to go in there, I had to find the source, gather all the information, and then I had to create the bibliography to show off all the different sources that I have within this document that I've created. Well, here inside of Word, they make it really simple to create citations or sources, to manage those sources, and then through a click of a button, to generate the bibliography based off the sources that you've used within your document. Take a look. A couple of steps to this. The first step that we're going to get into is creating the sources themselves. We're going to cite where we get information from. So open in front of you, I've got the exercise file that comes with this lecture. It's called 26 Citations. And it's just a bunch of tags, a little chart, and I think I got a table in here. Nothing big. But I want to go through and I want to create some citations that I have within this document. So I'm going to go up to my References tab. On the References tab, I've got a section called Citations and Bibliography. I'm going to go into Manage Sources. Give that a click. Now I don't currently have anything in here, but this is where you're going to create your citations, your sources. Who are you citing? Within this document, I'm going to cite a quote by Bill Gates about the Microsoft Office suite. I'm going to talk to Billy Bob about some tech industry conference that's coming up. And I'm going to drop in some information about this journal entry that I found by Billy Bob. And I'm going to cite all of those sources right here. So first step is I need to create a new citation. So I'm going to go ahead and hit New. All right, first step in here is I get to pick the type of source. And Microsoft Word gives you several different just default out-of-the-box options for you to pick from. Now, as you scroll through here and take a look, you're going to want to find one that's appropriate for your source, whoever you're citing, or whatever element or magazine or journal entry or website that you're citing within your document. You find the appropriate one. As an example, I'll grab website. And it's going to give me a bunch of data, metadata, that I could fill out about that type of source. So on a website, you might guess, we got the author of the website. Let's say we got Bill Gates. The name of the web page, we'll say this is Office 2016 New Features. The name of the website, we'll just say Microsoft. This was in 2016. We'll say August 31st, and this is going to be the URL, the address that I found this article on is going to be www.microsoft.com. All right, so I filled out my source information. I'm citing Bill Gates somewhere inside my document. I create a source for that citation. Got it all in there, got all the relevant information that I need. Now, very important, I've got a little tag name that shows up in here. In this case, it's Bill06. So in this case, it's grabbed the author's first three letters there, and it grabbed the 2106. Let's change that. It should be 2016. We'll see that change. 2016. So there's my 16, BIL16. So it's just incorporating a couple of different elements to be able to create this tag. Now that's very important. We're going to see that show up here in just a moment as we continue within our citations. So I've created my first one. I'll hit OK. There it is. I've now got my initial source, my first source within my citations. Let's create another one. I'll go ahead and go back to New. We'll say this one's going to be a journal article. The author is going to be Billy Bob. We'll say that the name of this one is Tech Source. That's going to be the title. The journal name is going. Well, let's say it's going to be called Tech Source for the journal name, but this will be Office Tech for the title of the article. This was in 2017. then we'll say this is going to be on pages 3 through 7. All right, now I'm just filling out the source here once again. In this case, specific to a journal entry. Once again, I've now got a new tag for this one, BIL17. I'll hit OK. And now I've got two sources, two citations that I can now utilize within my document and base my bibliography off of. So before we keep going here, before we start marking these entries, we've now captured the sources. Before we get in there and start marking up the document and eventually get into the bibliography, take a moment, open up the document, 26 citations, and create a couple sources. You can copy mine, you can make up your own, whatever you want to do, but create a couple sources first. So I've got a couple of sources built into my citations. Let's go ahead and close this window because the next step is we need to now mark up the document or place the citations into the document itself. So we pick a spot, perhaps where you've quoted somebody from their article or from an interview that you've had, a book that you've read, that you've grabbed a portion and you've dropped it into your document, whatever it is, you need to cite that source. So I find this on my document. Let's just say I'm going to find the third paragraph down. I'm going to click just after this word device. I want to tag that area. This has come from one of my sources. So I place my cursor there. I can even create a little space in there, or maybe I'll place it after the period, wherever I need to place it. Got my cursor effectively where I want to place the source. Now I hop up into my References tab again, back into my Citations and Bibliography, and I'm going to go to Insert Citation. So I give that a click. There's the two sources that I've created. Let's say this was going to be Bill Gates. Give that a click. There's my Gates 2016. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to find someplace else inside this document. Let's say just after this table. Let's place my cursor there. I'm going to go back up to Citation, and I'm going to drop in Bob Billy or Billy Bob, that Office Tech source that I've dropped in there. I'll give that a select. There it is. I've now dropped it into my document. I'm citing my sources, all based on the citations that I've built or the sources that I put into the Manage Source window. And that's really it. You pick your area in your document. Where is it that you've cited somebody or an article entry or whatever it is, and you tag it. That's the second step. You build your sources, and now you mark up the document or you tag it with those citations. Okay? So do that next. Really simple. Just drop a couple of them in there. If you built more than the two that I built earlier, great. Mark up your document. Because the next step, we're going to hit a button that'll generate the bibliography based on the citations that you've built. We've got our sources. We've now marked up the document. Final step, we're going to insert the bibliography. Now, typically, a bibliography happens at the end of the document. So I'm going to move down to the last page here. I got a nice empty page already waiting for us. Place my cursor there. I'm going to go back to References, back into Citations and Bibliography, and I've got a button for Bibliography. I'll give that a click. Now they've got some built-in default styles already chosen for you. You got one called Bibliography, got one for References, and Works Cited. They're all very similar. It's really just the header that shows up at the top. But we'll also take a look at how you can change the style to the bibliography as well. There's loads of different types of styles. I'm just going to grab the first one there. And through a button press, I got my bibliography. We've set up the sources, we've tagged the document, and now we've inserted the bibliography to cite all those sources that you have inside your document. And you see here I've got Bob B, Office Tech, text source, pages 3 through 7. There's Bill Gates and the Office 2016 new features, and it was retrieved from Microsoft, the Microsoft.com website. All of that source information that we filled out earlier. Back to References, Manage Source. All of this information here. That's really it. It's not a huge amount of work to be able to create citations, cite those sources, and then create the bibliography inside of Microsoft Word. Does a lot of the work for you. As long as you know where you got the data from, what you're citing, where that information came from, and then including that inside your document, creating the bibliography is as simple as a couple of mouse presses. So try this part out. Get that empty page at the bottom of the document, for References, Bibliography, Insert, and you're done. I want to mention one last thing about citations and bibliography. There are a handful of different styles, or the way that you present your sources, the ID code that goes with those sources, and the way that your bibliography looks. Take a look. I'm going to close my Source Management Manager window. If I go back to References and into the Citations and Bibliography section, I've got a style. Right now I've got APA. Oh, I got to remember. American Psychological Association something. I wish it would give me the name right there. It's probably a website that we can go look it up. But that's currently the style that I'm using for this bibliography. If I go into the little drop down here, you can see that there's several different types. Now, depending on what you're creating this for, whether it's for scientific purposes, it's for business related, it's for educational purposes, there may be a different type of bibliography that we want to use, or that would be more appropriate to use for that type of data or that type of work. So currently I'm looking at APA 6th edition. If I grab Chicago 16th edition, you can see how my bibliography, the way that it's formatted, and the data that it presents is different. So now I got Bob Billy 2017 Office Tech, and it gives me the article itself. Let's go back to APA for a moment. And we can see how that changed. It's not a big amount, but now I got Bob B 2017 Office Tech and the name of the article. Let's try another one here. Let's go down to IEEE 2006. All right, now this one, it gave me little reference numbers in there, and I've got the source information that I filled out earlier. Now these little numbers, again, this is IEEE. If I go back up and view where I placed those sources in the document, there's one right there. It's just got the number 2 next to it now. I no longer have that abbreviated name. I don't no longer have the year within there. It's just the number that references the entry within the bibliography. Find the other one here. I think it was back on the first page. There it is. There's the number 1. So changing our source, it changes the way that we present the source, we present the citation, and the way that we present it within the bibliography as well. Here's another one, Gates 2016. I get back down to the actual bibliography, and you see how it treats it there. This one actually tells me, oh, this one's a journal entry. This is an online one. This is a website. And it bolded the name of the author within there as well. So try this out. Mess around with the styles. There may be one style that you're going to be using more common than others, just depending on your data. Or perhaps if you're inside a school, your professor, your instructor, your teacher might let you know that, hey, I want you to use this type of style, which means present it this way with this type of data. So try it out, mess around with the styles, see how it affects both your citations, the way you're citing it up inside the document itself, and your sources within your bibliography.